people play vinyl? Raise your hands if you play vinyl.
Yes. You didn't think this was possible. You didn't think it was possible.
Now,
I said everybody have a turntable.
how many of you think it sounds better than the other formats? That's really good. That's really good. And to the record companies in the back, smart that you stayed in the back. It's an exciting new adventure. The market is growing, and it's young people.
Hello vinyl community, I'm back again for another Tales of the Deadwax, and today, as you can tell from the intro, I am talking about mastering great Doug Sax. Unfortunately, Doug Sax passed away last year. We lost a great one, but I really consider him one of the Rembrandts of the art of mastering. The reason why I consider him a Rembrandt of sorts is because he took so many people into his mastering studio and he mentored them, and he has passed on his skills to newer generations of folks, which I'll talk about here shortly. But anyway, it was Doug's brother that really got him into the mastering game. Doug's brother designed all the equipment, all analog, for the mastering lab. And Sherwood, or Bert Sax as he went by, was a noted electronics designer, and he actually designed this tube amp, which I'm showing you here. Now, Doug was a trumpeter, a very good musician in his own right, and he got into the mastering game because of his brother in the 60s. And one of the first albums he ever mastered was this guy here. And no, this is not an original, but this is the Analog Productions 45 RPM reissue. Now, to get to the Deadwax portion of this, now, there was never a Doug Sax signature in the Deadwax. What you're going to see is TML, or the Mastering Lab, which I'm showing you here. Now, after TML, you're going to see three indicators. You're going to see an M for Master. Now, what does this mean? Well, in the Mastering Lab, they always had 2 or 3 lathes running at the same time. So they were cutting the tape to 2 or 3 different lathes. You had a master, a slave, and then sometimes you had an extra. So the master is noted by an M, so you'll see TLM, or you'll see TLMS for slave, or TLMX for extra or spare. Now, the X is a rarity, but it does occur in a few records. So that is what you're going to see. So you're not going to know if it was truly done by Doug Sax unless it was noted on the album. But you can be assured that if you see TML, you're going to have a great sounding record. Now, this Doors one, when this came out a few years ago, they wanted to get together the original mastering team. So you had Bruce Botnick, the recording engineer, and Doug Sax get together, and they cut this 45 RPM edition, and it does sound sonically excellent. I can't complain. So, just to show you the Deadwax. Now, Doug Sax and his crew, whenever they were cutting records, they developed relationships with certain artists, and there were certain artists that just kept coming back to him to cut their records, one of which is Pink Floyd. So the relationship with Doug Sax really started at the time of The Wall. And so this is the Division Bell. This edition came out a few years back, so this is from the box set, by the way. And you know, I like the Mastering Lab version of the Division Bell. Now, the relationship with David Gilmour and Roger Waters continued after The Wall, and so Doug Sax cut all the solo records for those guys, and so Roger Waters, Amused to Death. This is another Analog Productions. Yeah, this one's really hard to find on original vinyl. This again sounds fantastic. This was done by Doug Sax, and just to show you the Deadwax here. So mixing up genres of sorts. So the Mastering Lab did all the Slayer reissues. This is Rain and Blood. So this, for metal sounds wonderful in its remastering. I don't think Doug touched this one, but I think it was Robert Hadley, which is under Doug's tutelage. Again, just to show you the Deadwax. Now, one of my favorite all-time soundtracks is Star Wars. A lot of people have this in their collection. This is an original. This sounds phenomenal. And this was done at the Mastering Lab. So if you can find an original, you're going to have a great sounding record. Since I'm on the subject now, TML did not show up in the Deadwax until the early 70s, so not right at 1970, but 72, 73 is when you start to see TML in the Deadwax, and here's what the Deadwax looks on this one. So last one I'm going to show you today, one of my favorites from the 80s was the Motels. This is All for One. Yeah, another one just to show you the Deadwax. So, with Doug Sax passing, he had spoken to several people about, what he wanted to do with his equipment, and Acoustic Sounds, Chad Kasem, purchased all the lays from the Doug Sax estate and has moved it to Salina, Kansas. There is a wonderful video montage of him purchasing the lays from Doug Sax studio in Ojai, California, which I'm showing you here. I highly recommend checking out this 9-minute video. I'll include a link down below. And there are other people that I had talked about that had fell within Doug's mentoring. So Bill Schnee, which is featured in the video, Robert Hadley, which I'm going to show you a short clip here, Gavin Larson, is another one that founded his own studio and has done phenomenal work. Eric Boulanger, which I'll have another short clip which I'll show you. He has founded his own mastering studio called the LA Bakery. Again, I'm showing you a clip of their website, and Jet Galindo also went with them and is also doing mastering with Eric. So if you get any records from these guys, it's going to be fantastic. So there you have it. Do you have any comments? Do you have any TMLs in your collection? Shoot me a comment down below. Let me know what you think, and thank you for watching.
And I know you were fortunate enough to be under the tutelage of probably one of the world's very greatest mastering engineers, which is something I know a little bit about. The great Doug Sax. You worked for him.
This is true.
At the Mastering Lab up in Ojai.
That's right. And before that, we had Hollywood open for a little bit of time, but I was lucky enough to spend 8 years with him, and
8 years.
Yeah, it went by quick.
Wow.
A little too quick, but
There's no school for mastering. In my case, I was fortunate enough to meet with my mentor, Doug Sax, who basically had an opening at the time 14 years ago, and I came to him and applied for the job, which was not this. It was basically a runner, go-getter, clean this, clean that kind of a thing. He brought me in and showed me a few things and, let me hear things and tested me and, what do you think of this? And I would give my opinion and he would go, oh, okay, I guess maybe you do know what you're doing. And so 14 years later, after his, teaching me how to listen and listen into something as far, instead of just like going, okay, that's cool, but listening farther and making decisions to see if, can that sound better? And then putting it up and, letting him test me and check it out and him giving me the okay. I mean, other than that, you try to do it yourself, but it's best to be taught by somebody